Thanks for having me, Dan. I really appreciate it, and thank you everybody else for coming in this afternoon. It's great to be with you. I don't know if Dan had mentioned it. He did say that I'm a contributor for Jim Cramer, Mad Money Off the Charts. We did actually a segment last night. I don't know if anybody, raise your hand if you guys saw the segment last night on Mad Money. Anybody? So we covered 4 stocks. We covered Autodesk, Adobe, ANSYS, and Parametric Technologies, which is PTC now. And they work in kind of in the CAD group versus their competitors with Autodesk, and all those charts were super bullish. And I'm not sure if anybody saw it. Oh, Wynn saw it. Wynn Farrell, good to have you here with us as well. So today we're going to talk about the art of selling, and I think that selling is something that we all could learn a little bit about, and I think it's the most underrated thing in trading and investing, and it's something that we certainly forget about doing, right? And a lot of us forget about the fact that our main goal here is to bank profits and cut losses when something is not working for us. And I'm going to talk about a couple of trades that I just did today that weren't working for me, that I cut bait on, and that were working really, really well for us. And we took profits and rolled them up. So this is something that is absolutely, it's a crucial element for all of you guys to do and to exercise. And I think one of the problems that people run into is they get cold feet, or else they get have cement in their feet. They don't know what to do. And when they get stuck either in a win or in a loss, one of the two, and they don't know what to do. So, and they're afraid of, everybody familiar with the 4 fears of trading? One of them is FOMO. Everybody know what FOMO is? Tell me if you know what FOMO is. FOMO. Anybody? That's right, Steve. Steve nailed it. Steve's from my chat room. That is the fear of missing out, Rosa. Fear of missing out. So we're all, oftentimes we're always fearful of missing out, because if we sell something out, we're worried that something's going to take off without us. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But for the most part, we're going to talk about the art of selling. So let's move on to our presentation here. So a little bit about me. I know Dan already mentioned a little bit about when I worked at Sunkist Growers a little bit. I'm the founder and chief options strategist at explosiveoptions.net. I ran a portfolio for Sunkist Growers, which as Dan said, is familiar with the oranges, but actually they make all their money selling fresh lemons. That's probably about 90% of the product portfolio is in lemons. So Sunkist Growers, which is in Southern California, has been around for 120 something years. I'm a frequent contributor to TheStreet.com, Real Money, and the old options profits, but still Real Money Pro. And as I said earlier, I regularly featured with Jim Cramer on CNBC's Mad Money, and I co-manage a product for Real Money, a Real Money Pro called Trifecta Stocks with Chris Versace. I also co-manage a daily chat room, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, because you guys are going to get a chance to join with us in the chat room later on today. And I'm going to show you how the real-time chat room, how that flows as well too. And if you were going to nail me on saying, hey Bob, what is it you really are an expert on? I'd say probably technical analysis and the psychology of trading, which kind of blends it all together and gives me a view of where things are going. So I love to teach. If somebody has a question or wants to learn something, then I figure it's my job and my duty to go out and try and teach somebody. And I like this little quote here. It says, I facilitate thinking, I engage minds, I listen to questions, I question people, I encourage risk, and I support struggle. I cultivate dreams, I learn every day, which results in the fact that I teach. I love to teach. And if anybody has heard me in the past on webinars or in person, live in person, you understand that I have an extreme passion for teaching and what I know. Because look, when it's all said and done, when I'm in a pine box 6 feet under, if I haven't at least left something of my knowledge out for everybody, then what has my existence been about? I think we all have a duty to leave something on this planet when it's our time to go. And for me, at least right now, is my small little contribution to society is to teach what I know, leave it with everybody, and hopefully either you've been able to, if I can teach one person to save a little bit of money or make a little bit of money, then I've accomplished quite a bit. So here's some of the stuff that we're going to cover today in this hour is what is the long lost art of selling, and why do we sell? We obviously have to sell because our job is to try and stay in the game, play our game, and not somebody else's game. We're going to talk a little bit about position sizing and some of the trades that we've done this year, actually more recently. Maybe some new trade ideas. We'll share with you some testimonials and a chance for you to not be coached and mentored, but actually just to join into our chat room. So let me ask you, take a look at this quote here by Tom Basso, and tell me if you think it's true. Anybody? I think investment psychology is by far the most important element, followed by risk control, with the least important consideration being the question of where you buy and sell. Who believes that? Raise your hand or type in there if you think that this is true or not. Rosa disagrees. Anybody else? Anybody else who disagrees with that? Or who agrees with it? Gord agrees. Anybody else? Walla agrees. Okay. Marcel has never heard of him. Well, that's not the point. Do you agree or not? So a few of you agree. Okay, good. I would say by and large, it's not all true. Part of it's true, but not all of it's true. I think you have to have very important consideration for buying and selling. So let's talk about the art of selling. You have but one job to do. If you've been given one job in trading, this is it. Making profits, right? That's it. One job to do, period. We're supposed to book profits. Write that down. Your job is to book profits, okay? Your job is not to dilly-dally around and to get mesmerized and watch your accounts grow and not do anything. Watch it, and then especially if you're an options trader like I am. We know that options are a wasting asset. I've seen, and believe me, I know a lot of the option traders in the room here have seen profits disappear by not doing something. Just do something. I wrote an ebook several years ago. It says you have options with options, and it's kind of a play on words, but it's true. You have lots of different things you can do, and if you're in a good situation and you have profit, you can bank profits. You could roll them. You could take some off the table. You could take half off the table. You could buy some protection. You can roll it up to another strike. Lots and lots of different things you can do. Hi, Mervin. But sometimes we don't have profits and we have to cut bait, right? So we can catch the big one. Everybody wishes they had a good enough lure to get to this guy, right? But let's remember, why are we in the game? What is it all about? It's to book profits and to grow our accounts, period. End of story. Yet I've found that over my years of teaching and coaching and in my chat room, a lot of people out there just can't do it. Taking a profit, it's like a taboo. And what we talked about earlier, this whole FOMO thing, right? And fear of missing out. Oh my God, what if I get out of a trade and oh my God, what happens if it goes on without me? Oh, the death of me. Raise your hand if you've ever been there. Tell me if you've ever been there. I mean, you ever been there and you've been in a name and all of a sudden it just takes off without you? Anybody? Yes or no? Anybody ever been there like that? It's just a horrible, miserable feeling, isn't it? Leanne's been there. Mervin's been there. Anybody else? Sure, you guys have. You've all been there, and it's just an awful feeling, right? So you end up staying with the trade far too long, and then you get smacked even harder in the head when you wake up in the morning and the futures are down 15 handles, you're just like, oh my God, I could have taken profits yesterday. Why didn't I do it? Oh, and then it's woe is me, and then you're in a bad mood. You get it. You understand it, right? It's a negative vortex that you get into, right? So let's try and not get to there. And Macaulay Culkin here. Why are so many afraid to sell? Well, I would say it's mostly to hide from a mistake, right? And nobody likes to admit they've made a mistake. I do it all the time. I mean, now let's clarify here. What is a mistake? A mistake is not necessarily a trade that goes against you. A mistake would be, well, I would normally for most people, the mistake is sizing, right? It's the size of the trade that is the mistake. And what do we mean by that? So the size of the trade, if they position size it incorrectly, right? Now let's say you're an options trader like me, and you have $100,000 in your account that you're working with, and you normally trade 2%. That's reasonable, right? Everybody agree with that? 2%. So $2,000 would be a normal size trade, right? And what happens if you end up buying a couple thousand or $1,000, then another $1,000, and another, and then you have that position all the way up to $6 or $7 grand, right? 6 or 7% of your account. Boy, it's going to be really hard to sleep at night, isn't it? I mean, if you've got one position like that, and maybe you've got like 10 other positions, and you've got most of your capital used up, but you've got one position that you said to yourself, this is it. This is it, man. I'm gonna clean the house with this particular trade. Forget everything else. This is the one. Anybody ever been there? Well, what ends up happening is that the one trade that's going to probably work against you, right? I mean, let's talk about Murphy's Law here, right? Murphy's Law, it always ends up happening that way, doesn't it? So you make a mistake like that, and then say that what you would normally do is if a trade starts working against you, you would normally cut bait. But let's say you put too much into that particular trade, or you decide that, you know what, I can't stand the heat, I got to get out of the trade, probably far too early, and then you end up in that whole FOMO mess again. You fear missing out, and then you end up punting on the trade. And what happens? It goes up without you, and oh my God, you get into that whole negativity again that we just talked about a few minutes ago. So you end up staying with the trade probably too long, or else you get out of the trade far too early because you sized it wrong. But most people are afraid to sell because they hide behind that mistake, right? Bad thing to do. Profits, maybe the profits aren't big enough. Maybe you say to yourself, you know what, I'm not getting out of here until I hit 45% profits or 40% profits, right? That's my minimum threshold. Well, what if it gets to 39%? And that's all the market is going to give you. And then it starts to go down on you. And you not only lose your profits, but it turns into a negative. Anybody ever been there? Sure you have. How about the thought that you won't ever pick another winner for a while? Oh, I know you, I don't even have to ask this. I know you guys have all been there mentally, right? You get into a slump, 2 or 3 or 4 in a row you lose, and then all of a sudden you say to yourself, oh, I'm never going to pick a winner again. So why even bother trading? Tom Sosnoff always says, just take the next trade. Just take the next trade every single time. Or how about the whole lottery analogy here? You think to yourself, this is going to be my lottery ticket. I'm going to put a very small amount of money up in terms of size, and in terms of maybe if you're an options trader. And I'm going to pile in a whole bunch of them. I'm going to buy 100 contracts of something at 9 cents, right? $900. I'm going to buy 100 contracts of that because it's going to go to $1. But little did you know, the percentages are way, way, way against you, unless and certainly you can hit a lottery ticket from time to time, but certainly the odds are against you, and you're not going to do it, right? How about the fact that we don't want to be considered wrong? Who wants to be wrong? Nobody. Raise your hand if you like being wrong on a trade. I don't think many hands are being raised right now. And how about the old excuse that I can't sell because I got plenty of time left. Look, I mean, it's November 1st. I've got options that are out to January or February. Why do I have to sell now? I don't care if it's down 50%. I have so much time left in front of me. I can wait it out. Anybody ever been there? And finally, maybe you're not aware of other strategies. Maybe you just think, you know what, it's all I can do is sell or hold this particular trade. There's nothing else I can do. Well, we'll talk about those. So I in my chat room every single day, I annoy everybody. Leanne and Steven and some others in the chat room probably know this, that I annoy everybody each and every day and asking a show of hands, have you guys sold anything today? Right? And I know I say that in jest about annoying because they know that I'm looking out for them. I'm trying to remind them that that's what this game is all about. And I tell everybody, if you need me to show you where the sell button is, I will be more than happy to show you where that is. Our goal here, folks, is to hit that sell button over and over and over again. And if you don't know where to find it, I will help you find it. Just raise your hand and I'll help you find the sell button on your computer, on your computer, on your iPad, on your phone, whatever. I think selling is refreshing. It's the most liberating experience you'll ever have. We all need to learn how to sell. Every one of you in this room, all 140 attendees in this room, we all need to learn how to sell. We all need to understand the importance of selling, even taking a small win or small losses off the board. Sometimes with options, you don't have small losses, okay? I took a couple of trades off the table today. I got buried on. Yesterday I did too. On AMD, I was in $1.60. I sold the calls at 40 cents. Okay, I was in some Qualcomm calls at 240. Sold them at $1.20. It happens, right? It happens. But the losses, you keep them small or moderate. Keep your size moderate as what you should have, and not beefing it up. And you can, and even if you get hit on a trade, you can recover. That's what it's all about. Are you able to recover? Because if we're not ready to exit at the appropriate time, then we can lose everything, right? This selling is again liberating experience that allows you to reset it and get started all over again. I'm not talking about selling everything. I'm just talking about selling positions, being in the habit of taking stuff off the table. So what happens when profit slips by you? I mean, look at this guy, right? I mean, he's just frustrated. You guys have ever felt like this guy before? Frustration, you feel anger, you feel revenge. Anybody? Raise your hand if you've been there. Sure you have. So I talk in the room in my chat room about, you know, if you have to ask whether to take profits or not, and it's the analogy that we use here, okay? Then I have to take out the baseball bat. You and I are going to have a conversation with the baseball bat, and I promise you the bat is going to win. If you have to tell me, hey, Bob, I have a 50% gain, what should I do? This is a fundamental error that most people make. And again, if you have to ask me, then we're going to have a conversation about this. And most people, I would say, by and large, when they have to ask me, hey, Bob, should I sell or should I do this? Or should I take this off the table? Okay? Then I have to, then really they know the problem. They know what they have to do. But nobody wants to take accountability for taking the money off the table. Well, you know what? I'll take it. I'll take that accountability every day of the week and twice on Sunday. Even if you make $1 or you make $1,000, I'm going to give you a round of applause for doing it. That's what this game is all about. I know. Look, I know you go into a trade. Your goal is not to make $1 or $2. Your goal is to make, you know, a couple $100. You have a goal in mind, right? I get it. But this is a tough racket. This is a tough business, what we're doing, okay? Nobody has a crystal ball. I always tell everybody my daughter broke my crystal ball years ago, and so I don't have one anymore. So we can't see the future. We don't have a crystal ball. So we have to do the best we can as we go along the path of making money. You ever felt like this guy before? Again, Selling is the most liberating experience, but many, many people out there struggle to do it. And I promise you, if you book a gain, it's not going to be a painful experience. I promise you that. So we talked about FOMO earlier today. What is the fear of missing out? According to that Urban Dictionary, it's the state of mental or emotional strain caused by the fear of missing out. A compulsive concern that one might miss an opportunity or a satisfying event. So more on the FOMO. I love this guy. Look at this guy's face. Have you ever sold a stock or an option and watched it go up without you? I'm sure you have, right? So Leanne Newman asked, do you scale in and scale out? Well, sometimes I do. Yeah, definitely. And listen, I've got some money off. I have some profits or something like that. I'm going to take some off the table. Did some of that earlier today with Win. We bought some Win calls yesterday. Leanne and Steven probably remembered. What did we buy? We bought the 150 calls, which are expiring on Friday. We bought those at 93 cents. Yes, Steve, that's where my picture came from. So we bought some of those 150 calls that expire on Friday at 93 cents. And Steven sold them today at about $3. I sold them anywhere from about $2.80 up to about $3.20. Still have a few of them left. I'm going to let some of them run up until the expiration. We've got 2 more days. That's like an eternity. So, I'll ask you these questions. Do you kick yourself for getting off that train? Raise your hand if you do. Do you chase the trade again? Do you say, damn it, I shouldn't have gotten off that trade. You know what? I'm going to revenge trade it. I'm going to get it back on that trade. And it turns into a big mistake, right? Your mind is completely out of whack. I know you guys have been there. I've been there. But regardless of those feelings of missing out, okay, you've got to do what is the right thing. The right thing is to book those gains when you have them. I learned this lesson the hard way a long, long time ago. And again, this is what I'm trying to share with all of you guys so you don't make these same mistakes that I made that could have cost me my career. And I promise you, it'll cost you lots and lots of money if you don't follow some of these rules. Establish the rules that you have. Live by them. Don't wait for anybody else to tell you to sell. Don't wait for anybody else to tell you to sell. Hey, listen, Nicola's talking about FOMO on Bitcoin, make a profit, right? We know this Bitcoin has been going nuts to the upside, right? Anybody out there sell and then regret not being into Bitcoin? Anybody? If you are, shame on you. Rick has. I mean, sure, you regret selling. I mean, so what do? You jump back on the game, jump back on the table, or on the horse? Shame on you if you feel regret, especially if you took a profit. Peter asks, is 50% the target? Why not 40 or 60? Does it vary? Well, it varies. Depends on me. It depends on what I see, what opportunity I see. Going there, and I may change the trade around a little bit as well too. I mean, instead of being long calls, and maybe short put spreads, right? Okay. And as Bob Jones says, no one will take as much care of you with your money as you will with yourself. So how about losses? We talk about wins a lot. How about losses? Do you hang on to your losers too long? Raise your hand if you do that. Are you always in that hope and pray mode? That stock went down on me. I know it's going to come back. I just know it's going to come back because the market can't do this to me. It's got to come back, right? Do you get on your hands and knees and pray? Do you go to the church, the mosque, and the temple to pray for it? Anybody? Sure. You guys have all been there, right? You've got to cut bait when something is not working for you. We had a couple of the choo-choos, the rails, and you know what? They weren't working for me. So I said, fine, I'm done. I'm out. CSX, Norfolk Southern, we had those in there in the service. Cut bait today. I'm done. Okay? You can't worry about that sort of stuff working against you. You can't worry about things that are negative. Look, I mean, we all have losses as part of the game. But you know what? When I wake up in the morning and I'm getting all my energy up, I'm ready, I'm getting all fired up to go. If I have to open up my book and I see losers, oh my God, it just puts me in a bad mood the whole day. and it's going to affect my trading, and it's going to affect your trading as well too. Cut the losses out of there when you can, because what separates the winners from the losers is how you handle those losses, right? You have to learn to say uncle on a trade. You get into a trade at $3, it goes down to something like 30 cents or 40 cents, whatever, and you're shocked, and you say to yourself, I can't believe it. I'm down 90% on a trade just overnight. Well, those things happen. It happens to the best of us, right? But the best traders, losses make you crazy. Well, why does it make you crazy, Rick? It's part of the game. Trading is not a game of perfect. Write that down. Trading is not a game of perfect. If you're in here because you expect to be perfect, you expect to win every single time, sorry, you're in the wrong game. You're in the wrong business. Okay? Trading is about percentages. It's about probabilities. Okay? But remember, the best traders can cut losses and move on to the next trade. Think about it. Can you do it? And are you willing to accept it and move on? If you are, then great. Hooray. Can you take your game and your mind up to the next level? Well, options, as I trade, here's a general rule of thumb. Conservatively, somebody asked this earlier, I'd say 30% loss to cut bait is probably a conservative way to go. Now, I use charts and technicals to help me find option trades, right? Not everybody does that. I say more aggressively, you give yourself a little bit more room. Sometimes I give myself even more than 50% room. Just depends on the situation. Everything in trading is a moving target. For stocks, somebody was asking me about this earlier, late yesterday, when somebody in our chat room, and Andrew, and he said, how about stocks with cutting losses? And I said 8%, because all you need to do is earn 8.7% on the next trade to recover those losses. Rob Letizia was in our trading room, said that Bob, you're amazing. nice comment, amazing with your vision on these markets. Michael Rosen, the info in the room is priceless, and he's still in our trading room every single day. The only one who makes or loses money is me. So we talked earlier about position sizing, right? Position sizing, how critical it is to trading success. The best trading systems I have found, I've seen people with bulletproof systems, and they go all in with their trades. And what do? They lose. They lose, right? And then they start wondering, I don't understand it. What happened? It was bulletproof. I couldn't lose with this particular system, this particular trade. And they find that they do, because they sized it wrong. And I'm not going to say it's Murphy's Law, but we know it probably is, Just don't let one trade kill your portfolio. Greed will wipe you out completely. Here's a trade that we did last year on Virgin Atlantic, right? Virgin Atlantic Airlines. Okay, this is this is how we took profits. Okay, April 1st. This is a excerpt from our chat room. And he said, I filled for more of these VA calls last year. I'm adding some more VA May 40 calls. AJ says, Bob, you saw VA way early in the day for me too. Earlier in the day, you can see this is done. These last two, Eric says, bankers say VA sale could come as early as Monday. This was with about 10-15 minutes to go in the trading day. And then also, all of a sudden, the following day, April 4th, a deal was announced. Alaska Airlines was buying the VA for $57 a share. The options we had bought, 35s, 40s, in the low $4, skyrocketed to 18 to 20 bucks. And of course, we were going to take the gains because of the buyout was going on there. But still, we had a good trade here, good risk management. I didn't pile in all of my money into this one trade, even though I felt really good about it. So that was a nice winner for us. Somebody said, do you use the Kelly or Optimal for positions? No, I just kind of use, Peter, I just kind of use my own system methodology for position sizing. A couple of percent is just enough. And here's that chart of Virgin Atlantic. We saw the good chart, and the technicals were strong, and then all of a sudden the rumor started floating in there. We had some good flow in the options, and then boom, 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 took off to that upside, and then they got bought by Alaska Air. Here's some feedback we had. So the Alaska Air was buying VA. Alaska is buying them, not AA. I'm in the 35s. So this is worth about 18 bucks. Cynthia was in there. CPG is Cynthia. Keaton was in there. I remember you had added the VA just Thursday or Friday. Nico said, holy moly, VA, great call. David said, and I asked, a couple people got in there. Michael got in there. Jim Sheets. So, we had some people in the chat room who got into this name. And then how about just a month or so later, DreamWorks. DreamWorks, we had heard some chatter that DreamWorks was up for sale, and that even had several suitors, including Comcast. Had some good volume, had some good flow. The chart was real good. And this is an excerpt from the chat room again. Comcast was buying DreamWorks. Tim was asking, so I had added the May 31st call. I've been in the stock since like forever, in the high 20s in my IRA. And it was a dog. It was a loser for me for a while there. So I'd added a few more DWA June 30 calls, June 32 calls. Katzenberg was going to leave if a deal was done, and then all of a sudden you see what happens. It shot up to 40 bucks, and we sold up there. And then the next day it was announced that our calls were up 300% or more overnight. We saw some of the comments here. Bob, thanks for the DWA. Comcast announced the acquisition, so forth. Happily, we sold these two. We waited for nobody to tell us when it was time to sell. We had nice, strong, robust gains, but these had to be sold, right? We had to get rid of them. More recently, from our chat room, we've had calls on Alibaba, which reports earnings tomorrow morning. Wynn, again, overnight, these last couple of days have been incredible for Wynn. Apple, we've booked in the service 9 different times in 2017. OLED, which we booked yesterday, we had bought the 130 December calls about a month or so ago at about $8 or $9. Let that simmer for a bit, and sold them yesterday at 24 bucks. That's right, 8.5 to 24. Adobe, which we picked off a few weeks ago on some good flow, which a lot of you guys remember that one, at about a couple of dollars. We sold it at 14 or 15. These are options, of course. Autodesk as well recently, and then Intel has been a double banger for us for the past couple of weeks. These were all good relative strength trades. So maybe some of you are thinking about, how do you take a loss, right? And we talked about winners again, and we're going to shift back into losing, about losses. I know you guys aren't all losers, but you just have to understand that losing on trades is part of the game, and you have to accept it, right? Establish your rules for losses. Size these trades correctly. Do not add to a losing trade. A lot of people will ask me, well, Bob, you know what, I've got a loser. How about I just double down, right? No. Don't double down on a loser, because it just turns a small loser into a bigger loser, right? Take that trade off and maybe start over again, and maybe you can find another trade in that particular name that works better for you. Maybe you just need to walk away from trading for a little bit if you have a string of losers. Maybe trade on paper if you're cold. I've been there. Raise your hand if you've been cold for a while. Wynn asked me what type of options do I trade. I trade equity options mostly. Not so much the S&P options, but we did have an S&P trade, the spider trades that we closed today. We had the 253 December calls, which we bought about $3 about a month or so ago, and sold them today at $7. That was a good one. So remember about success, right? Success in life isn't about how much money you make. It's about the difference that you make in people's lives. And I think I like to use that quote to tell people, how successful we've been in the chat room. And success is not always about money. It's not about how much money you make. It's about helping other people. That's what it's all about for me. So for all the webinar attendees here, I know some of you guys are already in the chat room. We have an amazing deal for you guys. You have a chance to join our chat room, and I'm going to show it to you guys in a couple of minutes here for half price. And you can basically buy a month, you get a month free. And a month in the chat room is regularly 119 bucks. And as a bonus, I'm going to send you 4 ebooks for your reading pleasure. So the link there is at the bottom. It's the HTTPS. If you just type in explosiveoptions.net/options-income with a /, it'll take you to the page. And you just sign up. You'll get instructions on what to do next because we have a chat room with we have a username and a password that comes along with that. You'll receive email alerts, blog articles that actually not email alerts with the chat room, but with the service. Blog articles that I write, chart of the week, which I just came up with today. Today's chart of the week came out was Oracle. Recently we had big ones on EA, Splunk, and Z, which just exploded higher afterwards. We had one on HTHT last week. Weekly webinar invites to do webinars every Thursday. I have one tomorrow coming up with Mark Chaikin. So I want to leave you with this, and become addicted to constant and never-ending self-improvement, as Anthony D'Angelo once said. It's so important to become addicted to learning and always try to improve yourself. You guys came to this webinar today with the hope of improving yourself, okay? And I hope that in the time that we spent together, you've done that. Let me show you the couple other things that people are saying over here as well too. This is when we had the Green Mountain Coffee about a year and a half ago. Those January 5250 calls, which was like 1,000% winner for Lauren. And then Jason said, Bob just reviewed my trading date. He was up over $40,000 in just 3 weeks. That was last year. Julia had paid her for her whole yearly subscription in just a week. Amazing. So again, this is I will send you a bonus of 4 ebooks. Let me show you the chat room first. What goes on there? Everybody see this here? You guys can see the chat room. Can you guys see this right here? Thank you, Rick. Appreciate your nice comments there. So you can see what our chat room looks like, right? And I'm in there. That's me up in the top right, Aztecs 99. I'm a San Diego State grad. Everybody see Steven's in the webinar. He's saying hello, and so is Leanne. So this is where the ideas come from. The idea flows come from. And so if you join the chat room with us, you'll have access to this, and you'll be able to with some great people. We have about 100 people in the chat room, about 75 or 80 of us in the room every single day. Some people talk, some people don't. Some people give ideas out. Options flow, which I do regularly during the day, and my partner David as well too. And everybody can see what we're talking about. So some people put their trade ideas, their trades into the room and share with everybody else. So we and it's a very, very good flow of information in the chat room. It's probably, we have 3 services. We have a spread trader, we have the chat room, and we have my explosive option service. I would say probably hands down the chat room is probably the most unique and most important tool that we have, because we get together each and every day, and there's so many ideas that come out regularly. Would you agree with that, Leanne and Stephen? Anybody else who's in the webinar who's in the room? I think this is probably clearly, easily the most important tool that we have. The exchange of ideas is just, the flow of ideas is just amazing. Even when it's slow, which it was back in a little bit in August and September, which is really, really rough, we still find some ideas to play with. So okay, so Wayne asked, do I give trade recommendations in the chat room? I don't give recommendations. I tell you what I'm doing, and everybody else tells you what they're doing. Hope that clears that up, because I'm not trading your account, right? Rick says, how much should one know about options before joining the chat room? You know, you know what? We have some newbies who come in the room and they learn. I would tell you, if you come into the chat room, take it slow. The jargon and the verbiage is quite a bit different than what you are probably used to. But there is an opportunity for you to learn a lot more about options than you've ever imagined. Tom says, it seems like it would be hard to get the best ideas to trade if all of members are spouting them. Why, I don't understand that. Really, how can one successfully execute with all ideas floating in? Because you can pick and choose from the best ideas out there, right? And you can find the best and most successful traders in the room. and pick off of those ideas, right? Make sense? I mean, listen, chat rooms are for, maybe for some people they're not ideal. For others, it's pretty ideal. So, I mean, for some, it's not the place they want to be. They want to be alone. I get it. I understand that. But for others, it's about trying to find ideas and trying to find the best trade potentials that they possibly can. Let me show you that link again as well too. It says New Year's special. This is what we offered in New Year's about a year or so ago. But again, if you the explosiveoptions.net/options-income with a / as well too, is going to take you there. And again, you'll get a buy 1 month, get a month free. So you're basically getting in there for like less than just under $60 a month, which is a pretty good deal. And it gives you 2 months to try it out and see what it's all about. We have a constant flow of information here. And if you get in there, I will send you my 4 ebooks that I've written and as a bonus, and some good information about options trading as well, and about risk management, everything like that. So is anybody planning on doing anything with Facebook tonight? Anybody along Facebook? Anybody playing Facebook? Tesla? What else is coming out tonight? Let's see here. What other names are coming out tonight? Anybody? Bob is in the morning. Yep. Ron is short Tesla. Peter is playing BABA. Glenn is playing Facebook with diagonals. Ding, 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 ding. I have some Facebook bull put spreads on. Tomorrow morning is Alibaba, Yum Brands. I missed out on that one. And we got Apple, of course, and Activision and Starbucks tomorrow after the close. I bought some Take-Two Interactive today. Chipotle puts. Here on Chipotle. What do I think about Baozun? Well, let's take a look at the chart and see if we can figure something out. Let's see if we were in that one a while back. Let's take a look at it here. Not a big fan of this one until it probably gets over this level here, about 36 and change. So it's nice testing the 100-day moving average, but it's not really moving very, very well over here. Facebook come out yet? No, not yet. Okay. I think let's see. One stock that we've been pretty keen on here lately is this AbbVie. I know the biotechs have been rough as well. Roughed up a bit, but this one had good earnings last week, and it tested that 20-day moving average, which is the dotted line over here. If it gets another higher high tomorrow, I think this stock's got room to get up to $100. Steven's asking about SPPI. What did they come out with earnings tonight? Had a decent close over here. Again, it broke above around the $20 area, and it's been kind of flagging here for a bit, and waited for the 10-day moving average to catch up to it. That's the golden line over here. So let's see what happens there. We're long the November 18 calls in this one. Tesla's coming out too, right? You come out with earnings yet? Down $10. How about what else is coming out tonight? Qualcomm's coming out tonight, right? I did a off the charts with Jim Cramer on Qualcomm recently, and then they had a strong day today. Came right back real powerful today. Although I got out of it yesterday. GoPro come out today. It's like Qualcomm came out with earnings already. It looks like they're pretty good. Anybody? Oh yeah, they're really good, real strong. Up $2, boy. Guess I got out of that one a little bit too. Look, I mean, I had a loss yesterday, and loss control. You gotta be able to accept the consequences, right? And if that stock moves up, look like it's up a couple of dollars after hours over here. With that news yesterday, the stock got pounded, and it fired back today. But you know what? Tomorrow's another day. Maybe we'll have another opportunity to get into this one later on, right? Let's take a look at Facebook. Come out yet? No. Anybody else? Any other names that anybody's looking at? The Big Apple comes out tomorrow. Had a rough day today, down a couple of dollars, had an outside day. On lower volume, probably just people getting nervous in front of earnings or something like that, selling off a little bit there. Let's see here. So this is what we, when we're in the chat room, we talk about this stuff. Everybody, put some comments in there. We don't really pay attention to the after-hours action. Our Scott Smith asked about Alibaba here. Let's take a look at that one. I mean, just had a really super day today. Came off of the highs and so forth. I like the chart, although it got a little overextended today. How about NVIDIA? Again, another one that got a little bit extended today, reached up to near 210 and pulled back a bit. No surprise there. Listen, stocks can't go up every single day, right? I tell everybody this in the chat room all the time. You can't go up every day. Some stocks aren't going to work for you, but I still like the Wynn and the Las Vegas Sands, which had a good, strong move today. A little bit off the highs, but gapped up higher, and if it get through that 65 area, I know it tagged it earlier today. Once it tagged it early this morning, it encountered some selling as well towards the end. Tagged it earlier in the first hour or so, and then just kind of meandered around all day long, closed near the lows of the day. But this one looks pretty decent. Yeah, Qualcomm with good earnings. Looks like they beat by about 11 cents today. So this one will, although it's pulling back a little bit, I guess, off of the, maybe their guidance is a little bit weak. But we'll take a look at that one tomorrow. Anybody else? PBYI, Puma Biotech. I had a big move in May here. It's just been floating up there. Facebook is out. Any good? Looks good. Looks like Facebook had good numbers. And GoPro is out. Big beat for Facebook. I think we're looking at probably, maybe, if the guidance is good, probably get this thing up to 190 tomorrow or the next day. Going to be good for Google. We have some Google 1050 calls, which we bought yesterday, and then sold some of them today. But looks like Facebook beat the snot out of the earnings on the revenue here today, so that's good. All right. So this is what we talk about in the chat room over here. See 186. He beat on all metrics. We talk about all this stuff in the chat room. Michael says I'm not here, but I am here. So 159 versus $1.28. That's a good beat for Facebook. On the beat on the estimates. So Wynn says, if you have time and appropriate, can speak to your Forion's ship I don't know what you're talking about. Sorry. Opt members. Yeah, Facebook really cruising here, huh? All right. Let's see what, I think OLED is out with earnings, right? No, I thought they had earnings out today, but they're probably going to be out tomorrow or next week. This is the one we're going to be taking a look at tomorrow. Yum Brands, I know they have earnings coming out tomorrow. We'll take a look at that one tomorrow. All right. And my other membership options. Oh, I'm sorry. The other membership options, explosive options. Sure, I can talk about those for a second here. So, again, this is for the special for the chat room, and the other membership options win look like this. So we have the trading service, which is the EO, which we've been on fire with that service for the past couple of weeks. We're up about 33%, almost 31% year to date. I can show you those results here and the positions, some of the positions that we have. GoPro Beat looks like. Okay. So the trading service is right here, options trading service. This is me, and then we have the EO service, which is $99 a month, Spread Trader, $89 a month, and then the chat room, which is $119. And again, you guys can get there in there half price for that by going to that link. And I'll show you where we're at portfolio year to date. Peter asked about TTD. We have that one in our portfolio. These are all positions that we have right here. And you can see down here on the bottom, compared to the S&P 500, you can see over here, 31%. Yes, we were down last year. I'm not afraid to show losses. We're up so far this week 2.4%, 31% year to date, where the S&P is up 15. So we're more than doubled the S&P 500 so far in 2017. And our Spread Trader product as well. The other product that we have here is up about 30, almost 31% year to date. You can see that 31 here. All right. Any questions on anything at all? We covered in the webinar. Oh, sorry, TTD. That's one that I like here. How's that doing here? 65 and change here. You know, this is a stock's been, it gapped higher back here in May, and it's just been making steadily higher highs and higher lows have been going along. This is a stock that we have the 65 calls in this one. It's got good technicals here. It was overbought a little bit and kind of cooled down a little bit for the past couple of weeks. But this is a stock that we really like a lot here. Yeah, we're long TTD. We're bullish on this one. Any other questions on anything, guys? I do this when I'm on my regular webinar on Thursdays. Kind of have a free-for-all little lightning round sort of a thing, and I'll bring the charts up there. So anybody have any? It looks like Yelp came out with their earnings, right? Ooh, they're getting pounded. Kramer doesn't like TTD. Okay. Yelp came out with 9 cents. They beat their estimates. Wynn says, in EO service, do you do mostly directional trades or do you do income? Good question. When we do the directional trades in the EO service, and calls and puts, straight long calls and puts. In the Spread Trader service, it's mostly an income type product. So we're selling put spreads or selling call spreads. high probability, low risk type of trading in the spread trader service. We're looking for stuff that's probably, deltas of around 10, 12, 14 as well. Leanne asked me about a couple of names here. Let's take a look at UPS first. So UPS pulled in here. I like the chart here. Kind of pulled into the 50-day moving average, which is the tan line over here, and pulled in on a little bit lower volume. Kind of like that. The volume is coming down a little bit. I do they have earnings coming out pretty soon, I believe. Yeah, I like the UPS chart here. I'm getting long. FedEx. Similarly, I know the transports have been taking a hit lately. I know today the choo-choos, we told you that kind of took a little bit of a hit. The rails came down a little bit today. I think UNP was up a little bit, but the other ones were down. FedEx is down about 35 cents here, so it's come in a little bit to support to the moving averages here. This is one that I think this one and also UPS could probably get a little bit of move to the upside. I definitely would be something I'd like to pounce on here on this pullback. Glenn asked about SQM, which is something that's in the fertilizer space. It's just kind of, it had a really nice sharp move into August and early September, and it's kind of been floating around and creating a little bit higher base over here. I do like this. I do like this chart as well. Let's see here. Frank asked a question. Oh, let me take a look at STM also. ST Microelectronics, STM. This is another stock that ST Microelectronics. This is a stock that had a huge gap up last week and followed through. So you like a stock that does this, you like a stock that follows through to the upside. Frank asked, is there any advantage on the real time on the time decay on trading credit spreads over the weekend? Sure, and absolutely there is. And there's time decay, including holidays as well, too. You know what? When you have a 3-day holiday, you like to play the decay on those situations as well. Sure, absolutely. So there's definitely some advantage playing it over the weekend. But don't forget, the market makers already priced that in on the options, right? So that's when you see volatility starting to decline into, for instance, into a holiday, right? Let's see here. Brian asked about Amazon. Okay, is there an Amazon trade here? Looks like Facebook's trading off a little bit here. So Amazon had that big, huge gap up last week after earnings, and it looks like it's kind of flagging over here. I wouldn't probably want to get into Amazon just yet unless it gets above the high from Monday, which is about 11.22. So you got to get above there before you can get back into Amazon. All right. Looks like Yelp beat, but they're off a little bit. This is one that I may be taking a look at. Again, we looked at NVIDIA earlier but I'll bring it up again. Just been making higher highs and higher lows. It pulled off a bit off the highs from earlier today, off of just the 209.97 level. I'd be taking a look at this if it pulls back to the 20-day moving average, which is about 197 or something like that. It did that before. It's going to freak everybody out. Oh my God, it's down $10. Whew, what are we going to do? But this is one that you might want to take a look at if it pulls back there a little bit. Looks like Shake Shack came out with earnings just now. Has a nice looking pattern over here. And it looks like it's up a little bit in the after hours, but until it gets past, it really gets past this junk over here, which is around the 39.50 area, almost $40. Until it gets above that area, then I wouldn't really be interested in playing that one as well. Let's see what else. Carlos says, looks like we have a hanging man candle at all-time highs on the S&P 500. Well, let's take a look. Kind of hard to see that. Let me zoom in and bring it in on something else here. Let's see here. Suppose you're talking about the S&P. This isn't really a hanging man there, Carlos. I would call it a doji. This is a hanging man up here back in July. Hanging man kind of is a long wick and then also closing at or near the highs of the day, but closing below the open of the session. This is more of a doji. You're welcome, Win. Thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. Akil asks, are results based on one contract? No, actually. Results are based on 10 contracts for the spread trader product. You can see that right here, the quantity here, 10. Okay. And in the other service, it's like Tesla had a bigger loss, huh? Which means the probably stock's going to go up like 30, right? The other product is based on a dollar amount, roughly dollar, which is about $2,000 to $2,400 per trade. And you can see that. You can see the portfolio here, market value, but net premium that was paid for. You see it's anywhere from about $1,600 on the low side with the Biogen up to about $2,500, $2,600. So this is the net premium that we pay, okay, this column here. So you can see it's pretty consistent. This is a portfolio that has about $240,000. So, you know, I mean, 1% is about enough for me. And if you really wanted to drill down on these results, the return on risk is off the charts. It's well more than 30%. So what is risk? Does everybody understand what return on risk means? What is return on risk? Anybody? The return on the amount of money that's actually being used. So you can see here in a $240,000 portfolio, I'm sitting on $173,000 in cash. Okay, lots and lots of cash, right? Probably about 60% in cash. So I'm only using about 40% of the portfolio for the returns, right? Small amount. I'm not fully invested, not even close to it. Even if I added 30 more positions, I've got 20, you can see I got 20 positions currently in portfolio. Even if I added 30 more positions, I would still have a lot of cash. So I'm pretty conservative when it comes to how I manage the portfolio, manage the risk for everybody. 1%, 1 to 1.5% per play. So 1% per play, I'm only using, you know, 28% of the portfolio. I'm sitting in 70% cash currently right now. Normally, I have a little bit. I'll have a little bit a little bit less cash, but 65-70% of the portfolio in cash is pretty conservative. But to still post these kind of numbers, 30-something%, right? Pretty amazing, isn't it? So, okay. Any other questions? How's everybody doing so far this year? I'll put the chat room up over here. You guys can see that. Hopefully you guys are going to get a chance to jump in and join us in the chat room. I'm in there every single day, just about, unless I'm out of town. Hopefully you guys will get a chance to come in and visit with us starting tomorrow. What is my opinion on Heiken ASHI charts? No idea what that is, Glenn. I know there's a lot of different charts out there, but I have no idea what that is. Any other questions on anything? Facebook up a couple more dollars here. Thank you, Wynn. I appreciate your comments. Anybody, raise your hand if you guys trade options in here. Anybody? Futures, options, stocks? Who trades options in here? Anybody? Besides the usual suspects? Carlos trades options. Greg trades options. Win trades options. Good. Good. I'm glad. That's good. So anybody on some puts on Tesla here? Looks like it's down quite a bit on the earnings here. Anybody trading? Anybody buying? Anybody long puts? Let's see. So we had this SPPI. They have earnings coming out, I think, tonight, right? Or maybe that's tomorrow. See, Kraft Heinz came out here tonight. Google's up a little bit after hours. Kraft Heinz down a couple of dollars here. There's one that I have coming into tomorrow earnings. Zillow. Anybody ever heard of this one? Anybody ever played this one before? I think they have earnings coming out tomorrow after the close. Also, Starbucks is out tomorrow. Brian says he's got an Apple calendar call. What's my opinion on the trade? So Brian has a 160 call with the January 2019 call. He's got a calendar. So I guess you're short the one that's expiring on the 17th, right? And you're long the January 2019, right? Good. That's a good trade. I like that. But I mean, how long? I guess it depends on how long you've been in that trade, right? Is it recent or is it old or what? I guess that's the question you got to ask. If it's an older trade, then you probably just a week ago. So you're thinking that in the interim, Apple's going to break 160. Is that correct? You think it's going to come down and you're going to take all that premium in. So you probably, let's see what you did here. Let's see if you can. I'll bring up my platform here. Looks like you. So we follow the flow as well too, an options flow. So you think that Apple's going to drop below 160 because you're long, you're short the 870 or $8 and probably $8 and change, right? Are you down on the? If you did it last week, you're probably down, right? A week ago. You probably sold it for what, about 4? And then you're long the January 2000. You're down now, yeah. So you're hoping that this thing gets clobbered on next week. I'd be careful with that because you've still got this put option underneath it, and it's called the iPhone X. So even if they blow it on the numbers, it's still going to probably bounce back pretty sharply. So we follow flow and so forth. So today I saw some flow in the in this stock called Take-Two Interactive. Anybody ever heard of that one? TTWO. Closed down about 9 cents today. So somebody bought like a slew of the 112 calls that close on Friday. They bought them for about 54 cents or something like that. So I know the Activision comes out with earnings tomorrow. These guys come out with earnings next week. So I'm thinking that perhaps maybe the move in Activision is going to trigger some buyers to come in on this thing because that guy needs it up to 112 and change just to break even. So I bought the 110 calls instead of the 112. At about $1.25 or something like that. So if this guy is right, I'll make a killing on the 110 calls in 2 more days, right? So Brian says he didn't expect a big run on Apple. Well, I mean I did. I've been long Apple. I've been long calls on Apple. Carlos said, what am I using for unusual option actions? I use Trade Alert. My friend Henry Schwartz has a product called Trade Alert. Wynn says he's in Take-Two with a nice profit, collaring your stock trade. Good. That's good. So you should be selling probably the 115 or 120 calls against it, right? So you know what, Brian, I kind of expected a big run in Apple because that everybody I've talked to, everybody I've been hearing about, including myself, was waiting for this X to hit, and the numbers were just outstanding. I saw JD.com came out with some numbers saying that over 1 million pre-orders about a couple weeks ago. So that was a clue. JD.com is a Chinese online retailer, much similar to Alibaba. Let's take a look at that stock because I was interesting today. Yeah, you know what? Don't like all the red bars over here, but it does look like it's starting to pick up. If it breaks that 200-day moving average, which is the golden line over here, then I'm out. So Brian says Apple could be selling the news. Look, here's the thing. Again, you got this product that's coming out, and the news isn't really going to be hitting until January, right? January is when the news is going to hit on the iPhone sales. So they're not going to come out and start talking about how good their sales are or how bad their sales are for a couple of months. So people aren't going to be selling the stock before that news comes out. So Akil says, do you stops and directional calls or puts? You know, I have mental stops. I don't use the hard stops at all because I do my trades based on the charts, on the technicals. If the technicals tell me it's time to leave, then I cut bait on it, you know, regardless of what the premium was that I paid for it. So sometimes I get into the wrong trade, I get into the wrong position, okay, the wrong month or something like that. Those things happen. Those are correctable. But like, for instance, the CSX here, the chart broke today. I got to get out. Now, when I got into it over here, did I know the chart was going to break over here? No, of course I didn't, okay? But again, it's just one position. Norfolk Southern was another one. We were in these rails over here, and it doesn't really look like the chart broke yet, but I didn't like the action today on the stock, especially given last week's penetration of the 50-day moving average on earnings. So I said, you know what, it's time to leave. It's time to go. No problem, Akil. Email me if you would like a copy of the slides. I'm more than happy to share those with you. Send me an email at bob@explosiveoptions.net. And again, you guys, here's that link again for signing up. I hope to see some of you guys in the chat room tomorrow. It would be really great to have you there. Here's the link for that. explosiveoptions.net/options-income of the selection, and you get a free month with that. And you know, again, here's what the chat room looks like. You can see everybody else is talking in there, talking about Facebook and Tesla after hours. Steven says we talk about lots of different things, and you know, we have a good time, and we take our role as traders in the chat room extremely seriously, very serious about what we do. We're serious about making money, right? Wynn says he's got a NVIDIA weekly expiring on 11/10, which is next week. Playing the volatility crush. Will mail only 1 day prior to earning. Well, okay. So everybody learn a little bit about selling today? Everybody understand how important it is to sell? I hope.